Elena Martinez adjusted her black uniform for the third time as she walked through the grand ballroom of the Aurora Hotel. Tonight was the annual charity gala for children's education, and she had been assigned to serve the VIP guests. The crystal chandeliers cast dancing shadows across the marble floor, and the air buzzed with the sound of expensive jewelry and designer gowns. She had been working at the hotel for 6 months now, saving every penny for her dream of opening her own fashion design studio. Elena came from a modest family, where her mother worked as a seamstress and her father drove a taxi. They had taught her the value of hard work and staying humble, no matter how successful she became. As Elena carried a tray of champagne glasses, through the crowd, she noticed a man sitting alone at one of the side tables. He wore simple dark jeans and a plain white shirt, looking completely out of place among the sea of tuxedos and evening gowns. His dark hair was slightly messy, and he seemed to be watching the crowd with an amused expression. Must be one of the hotel staff taking a break, Elena thought to herself. She had seen many employees try to blend in during events like this. The man caught her eye and smiled warmly. Elena found herself walking over to him, drawn by his genuine expression. That seemed so different from the forced smiles she had been seeing all evening. "You know," Elena said, setting down her tray and sitting across from him, "you don't look like you belong here either." The man chuckled softly. "What gave it away?" "Well, for starters, everyone else is dressed like they're going to meet the Queen, and you look like you just came from a coffee shop," Elena replied with a grin. "I'm Elena, by the way. I work here." "Nice to meet you, Elena. I'm Alex," he said, extending his hand. His handshake was firm but gentle, and Elena noticed his hands were soft, not like someone who did manual labor. "So what do you do here, Alex?" "Kitchen staff? Maintenance?" Elena asked curiously. Alex seemed to find this amusing. "Something like that. What about you? You seem too young to be working at such a fancy place." Elena's eyes lit up as she began talking about her dreams. "I'm saving money to start my own fashion design business. I've been sketching design since I was 12, and my mom taught me how to sew. Working here helps me see how the wealthy dress, what they like, what makes them feel special." "And what do you think of them?" "The wealthy, I mean," Alex asked, leaning forward with genuine interest. Elena looked around the room and sighed. "Honestly, most of them seem so disconnected from reality. They spend more on one dress than my family earns in a year, and they act like the world owes them something, like that man over there." She pointed to a distinguished gentleman in an expensive suit. "He just snapped his fingers at a waitress like she was a dog. It makes me sick." Alex nodded thoughtfully. "You think all rich people are like that?" "Not all, but most," Elena said passionately. "They live in their bubble and forget that real people struggle every day. They throw money at charity events like this one to feel better about themselves, but they don't really care about the cause." "That's a pretty harsh judgment," Alex said gently. "What if some of them actually do care? What if they use their wealth to help others genuinely?" Elena considered this. "I suppose some might be different, but power and money change people. It's hard to stay humble when everyone treats you like you're special just because of your bank account." They talked for over an hour, and Elena found herself captivated by Alex's thoughtful questions and genuine interest in her opinions. He didn't try to show off or impress her. Instead, he listened carefully to everything she said and shared his own thoughts about life, dreams, and the importance of staying true to yourself. "You know, Alex, you're different from most people I meet," Elena said as the evening wore on. "You actually listen, and you don't judge me for being a dreamer." "Everyone should have dreams, Elena. They're what make life worth living," Alex replied, with a smile that made her heart skip a beat. Suddenly, the lights in the ballroom dimmed, and a spotlight illuminated the stage at the front of the room. The master of ceremonies stepped up to the microphone with a broad smile. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our generous sponsor and keynote speaker, the founder and CEO of Kane Industries, Mr. Alexander Kane. Elena's blood turned to ice as she watched Alex stand up from their table. The same man she had been talking to for the past hour, the man she had called a coffee shop worker, was walking toward the stage in his simple jeans and white shirt. The crowd erupted in applause as Alexander Kane took the microphone. Elena's hands trembled as she realized what had just happened. She had spent the entire evening criticizing wealthy people to one of the richest men in the country. Alexander's voice filled the room as he began his speech about the importance of education and helping underprivileged children. But Elena couldn't hear the words. All she could think about was how she had embarrassed herself completely. As Alexander spoke, his eyes found Elena in the crowd. For a moment, their gazes locked, and she saw something in his expression that she couldn't quite understand. It wasn't anger or amusement. It looked almost like gratitude. Elena quietly slipped away from her table and rushed toward the staff exit, her cheeks burning with embarrassment. She had never felt so humiliated in her entire life. 3 days had passed since the charity gala, and Elena had called in sick to work every single day. She couldn't face the possibility of running into Alexander Kane at the hotel. Sophia, her roommate and best friend, had tried everything to get Elena out of their small apartment. "Elena, you're being ridiculous," Sophia said, sitting on the edge of Elena's bed. "So what if he's rich? You didn't know who he was. You were just being honest." "Honest about how much I hate people like him." "Sophia! I basically told a billionaire that rich people are awful human beings," Elena groaned, pulling a pillow over her face. "Maybe that's exactly what he needed to hear," Sophia suggested. "Rich people probably never get honest opinions from anyone." Elena's phone rang, and she glanced at the screen. It was an unknown number. Hesitantly, she answered. "Hello? Is this Elena Martinez?" a professional male voice asked. "Yes, this is Elena," she replied cautiously. "My name is Marcus Thompson. I'm calling on behalf of Mr. Alexander Kane. He would like to offer you a position at Kane Industries as a junior fashion designer." Elena nearly dropped the phone. "I'm sorry, what?" "Mr. Kane was impressed by your passion and vision. He believes you would be a valuable addition to our design team. The position comes with a competitive salary and full benefits." Elena's mind raced. I need to think about this." "Of course. Mr. Kane said to tell you that he values honesty above all else, and he hopes you'll consider the opportunity." After hanging up, Elena stared at the phone in disbelief. Why would Alexander Kane offer her a job after she had insulted his entire social class? 2 days later, Elena found herself standing in front of the towering Kane Industries building. Her hands were sweaty as she rode the elevator to the 30th floor, where the design department was located. The office was everything Elena had dreamed of, spacious, bright, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Young designers worked at sleek desks, sketching and discussing their latest projects. "Elena Martinez?" A woman with short blonde hair approached her. "I'm Jennifer, the design department manager. Welcome to Kane Industries." Elena's first few weeks at the company were like a dream. She was given her own workspace and access to the best design software and materials. Her colleagues were talented and friendly, and Elena found herself growing more confident each day. She had managed to avoid running into Alexander Kane until one afternoon when she was working late on a new collection. The office was mostly empty when she heard footsteps approaching her desk. "Burning the midnight oil, I see," a familiar voice said. Elena looked up to find Alexander Kane standing beside her desk, still dressed in his casual style. This time, dark slacks and a simple navy sweater. Her heart began to race. "Mr. Kane," she said, starting to stand up, "please call me Alex, and don't get up. May I see what you're working on?" Elena hesitantly showed him her sketches for a new line of affordable businesswear for young professionals. Alexander studied the designs carefully, asking thoughtful questions about fabric choices and target markets. "These are excellent, Elena. You have a real understanding of what real people need, not just what looks good on a runway," he said with genuine admiration. "Thank you," Elena replied quietly. "And Mr. Kane, Alex, I wanted to apologize for what I said at the gala. I had no right to judge people I don't know." Alexander sat down in the chair next to her desk. "Elena, you don't need to apologize. That conversation was the most honest one I'd had in years. You made me think about things differently." "But I was so rude," Elena protested. "You were authentic. Do you know how rare that is in my world?" Alexander's eyes met hers. "Everyone tells me what they think I want to hear. You told me what you really believed." Over the following weeks, Alexander began stopping by Elena's desk regularly. Their conversations ranged from design philosophy to books they had read, from childhood memories to future dreams. Elena found herself looking forward to these visits more than she cared to admit. However, not everyone in the office was happy about the CEO's special attention to the new junior designer. Elena began to notice whispers and sideways glances from some of her colleagues. One afternoon, Elena overheard two senior designers talking in the break room. "It's obvious why she got promoted so quickly," one of them said. "The boss has a thing for her. Poor girl probably doesn't even realize she's being used," the other replied. Elena's face burned with shame and anger. She had worked hard for everything. She had achieved, but now people were questioning her abilities. That evening, Alexander found Elena crying quietly at her desk after everyone else had gone home. "Elena, what's wrong?" he asked with concern. "People think I'm only here because you like me," she said through her tears. "They don't believe I earned this position." Alexander's expression hardened. "Who said that to you?" "It doesn't matter. Maybe they're right. Maybe I don't belong here." "Elena, look at me," Alexander said firmly. "You are one of the most talented designers I've ever met. Your work speaks for itself. Don't let anyone make you doubt your worth." The next morning, Alexander called an all-staff meeting. He stood before the entire design department and spoke clearly. "I want to address some rumors that have been circulating. Elena Martinez was hired because of her exceptional talent and fresh perspective. Her work has already impressed several of our biggest clients. Anyone who has a problem with merit-based hiring can discuss it with HR." Elena felt a mixture of gratitude and embarrassment. Alexander had defended her publicly, but she worried that this would only fuel more gossip. As the weeks passed, Elena threw herself into her work with renewed determination. She was going to prove that she deserved to be there, regardless of what anyone thought about her relationship with Alexander Kane. 3 months after joining Kane Industries, Elena was given the opportunity to lead a major project, designing a new line of affordable formal wear for young professionals. It was exactly the kind of work she had dreamed of doing, creating beautiful clothes that regular people could actually afford. Elena poured her heart into the project, working late nights and weekends to perfect every detail. She researched fabrics that were both elegant and cost-effective, designed pieces that could be mixed and matched to create multiple looks, and even planned a marketing strategy that would reach her target audience. The day of the presentation, the board of directors arrived, and Elena felt more nervous than she had ever been in her life. This was her chance to prove herself once and for all. Alexander introduced her to the board with obvious pride in his voice. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet Elena Martinez, the lead designer for our new accessible luxury line." Elena's presentation was flawless. She explained her vision, showed her designs, and demonstrated how the line would fill a gap in the market. The board members nodded approvingly and asked intelligent questions that Elena answered with confidence. When the presentation ended, the room erupted in applause. The chairman of the board stood up and shook Elena's hand. Ms. Martinez, this is exactly what our company needs. Fresh thinking, social consciousness, and exceptional design. Congratulations on outstanding work. Elena felt like she was floating as she left the boardroom. She had done it. She had proven herself on her own merit. Alexander was waiting for her in the hallway, his face beaming with pride. Elena, that was incredible. You were amazing in there, he said. Thank you for believing in me, Elena replied, her eyes shining with happiness. Elena, Alexander said, his voice becoming more serious, there's something I need to tell you. He led her to his private office and closed the door. The city lights twinkled through the floor-to-ceiling windows as the sun set behind the skyline. From the moment I met you at that gala, you've changed my life, Alexander said, moving closer to her. You made me remember what it's like to connect with someone real, someone who sees the world clearly and isn't afraid to speak the truth. Elena's heart began to race as she realized what he was saying. I've fallen in love with you, Elena, not because you're beautiful, though you are, but because you're genuine and passionate and brave. You challenge me to be a better person. Elena felt tears forming in her eyes. Alex, I've been trying not to fall in love with you because I thought we were too different. You're this successful, powerful man, and I'm just a girl from a working-class family. You're not just anything, Elena, you're extraordinary. And our different backgrounds don't matter. What matters is how we feel about each other and how we treat the people around us. Elena looked into Alexander's eyes and saw nothing but sincerity and love. All of her fears and insecurities melted away. I love you too, Alex. I think I started falling for you that first night when you listened to me like my thoughts actually mattered. Alexander gently cupped her face in his hands and kissed her softly. It was a kiss filled with all the emotion they had been holding back for months. 6 months later, Elena's affordable luxury line had become one of Kane Industries' most successful products. Young professionals across the country were wearing her designs, and fashion magazines were calling her the designer who democratized elegance. On a warm spring evening, Alexander took Elena to the rooftop garden of the Aurora Hotel, the same place where they had first met. The garden was decorated with thousands of twinkling lights and filled with Elena's favorite flowers. Elena, Alexander said, getting down on one knee as the sun set behind them. You taught me that true wealth isn't measured in money, but in the love we share and the positive impact we have on others. Will you marry me and continue changing the world together? Elena's hands flew to her mouth as she saw the beautiful ring he was holding, not an ostentatious diamond, but an elegant sapphire surrounded by smaller stones, something that reflected her style perfectly. Yes, Alex. Yes, of course. Elena cried, laughing and crying at the same time. Their wedding was held in the same rooftop garden 6 months later. Elena wore a dress of her own design, simple, elegant, and absolutely perfect. Alexander's eyes never left her face as she walked down the aisle. Elena's parents sat in the front row, tears of pride streaming down their faces. Sophia was her maid of honor, and Marcus served as Alexander's best man. The guest list included everyone from board members to hotel staff, all the people who had become important in their lives. As they exchanged vows, Elena thought about how much her life had changed since that night, when she sat at the wrong table and met a man she thought was just another hotel employee. I promise to always be honest with you, Elena said in her vows, to challenge you when you need it, and to support you in everything you do. You saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself. I promise to never let success change who we are, Alexander replied, to use our resources to help others, and to love you more each day than the day before. You are my greatest achievement and my deepest joy. As they kissed to seal their union, Elena realized that sometimes the most beautiful love stories begin with the most unexpected encounters. She had found not just love, but a partner who shared her values and dreams. Their first dance was to a soft jazz song that reminded them of the music that had played during their first conversation. As they swayed together under the stars, Elena whispered in Alexander's ear, "Who would have thought that insulting a billionaire could lead to such happiness?" Alexander laughed and spun her around. "Remind me to thank you for that insult every day for the rest of our lives." Elena and Alexander Kane went on to build not just a successful business empire, but a foundation that provided scholarships for young designers from modest backgrounds. They never forgot where they came from or the importance of staying connected to real people with real dreams. Their love story became a testament to the power of authenticity, the beauty of unexpected connections, and the truth that real love sees past surface differences to the heart of who someone truly is. And every year on their anniversary, they returned to that same table at the Aurora Hotel, where a shy girl had mistaken a billionaire for a waiter and changed both of their lives forever.